Alright everyone, let's continue on with the second part of chapter 8, stages of development. Previously we covered very little text, but still it took up a lot of time. We had to go through so many things, we had to give up so many explanations and explain it in a really detailed manner. Now we'll just cover up these 8 stages of development that were laid out by Eric Erikson. Basically, these 8 stages of development state how a child, the development story of a child, or you can say the different stages that a child goes through from his infancy till his adulthood, or you can say till his death. These 8 stages of development, concisely shorten up his journey of his feelings, the journey of his feelings and his behavior, or basically of his psychology. This is like kind of a like sum up of his psychology from his infancy till his death. Starting with the first stage, which is named as trust versus mistrust. So there's always a conflict. I mean, each stage there is a kind of conflict, and the person can go can swing either ways. It can be the first one or it can be the second one. It's always like the person is fighting. Like in every stage, the child, the person is fighting between two things, which to choose from, which one to swing towards. So the first conflict, or the conflict between the conflict during the first stage is between trust and mistrust. The age range for this period is from 0 to 1 year. So this stage, I mean, obviously they have some time limit, some time, like they are bound by some kind of time. They cover a particular period or a particular age, and this is from 0 to first year. If the behavior and care provided by the primary caregiver of the child is consistent, predictable, and reliable. So this stage is basically, this is stage, I mean, in every stage there is one important character, one important role. And in this case, the important role of or the important character is of the caregiver, of the parent. And if the behavior and care provided by the parent, provided by the caregiver, is consistent, means it is continuous, it is predictable, like that it's not full of surprises, twists and turns. It's like in a predictable, in a same sustained manner, and reliable, like you can rely on that person that he will provide this care constantly without any gaps, without any miscarriages, without any kind of like one day he's giving proper care and the next day he forgot about it, then the third day he starts giving up his care again, and like that guy provides reliable, consistent, and predictable care. Then the child will develop a sense of trust, because all of these things are leading toward a sense of trust. So whenever you're trying to just take it as an example from a real life, from not from a real life, I mean, of course, from real life. So the thing is that when you try to befriend a puppy, like a small dog, a puppy, or any new animal, you provide them with some kind of food, right? No, even before that, the first thing is that you show them that you are not intending to harm them. You like open up your hands, or you try to act very calmly towards that dog, towards the new puppy, new pet. Okay, you sit down to bring yourself to their level. Then you extend your hand very slowly, so the person, so the other, sorry, the pet, the bird knows, the pet knows that you are not hostile towards it. Then you slowly, you try to feed it, you try to gain their trust by giving them something that they really desire, that they really want, which is what? Food. You try to give it to them, and then over time you try to give it to them constantly. Okay, first day you are giving it to the bird, but you're not trying to touch it this time. The second day also, I mean, some things obviously take very little time, some things can take longer time. So in this way, let's say that this one takes a bit longer than usually. So the next day also you come, you provide the bird, the pet, with food, with a little amount of food, and you go back. Third day also you come, fourth day also come. Soon the pet realizes that you will come at some particular time every day with food. Okay, so over time the pet becomes friendly with you, because it knows that you are not hostile, and in fact you are providing it with consistent care. That is, you come daily, you're providing it care, you're providing it food daily, and it is predictable. It knows that what kind of behavior you will do. You will like, if you're constantly not trying to touch the pet, so it knows that you won't try to touch it or grab it, or you won't try to do some kind of unexpected move, or like sudden movement of your arms or legs. It kind of knows your pattern of movement, your pattern of behavior. And the third thing is that you are reliable. Okay, that you are coming every day, that you are coming every day consistently, without any kind of stop. So if it's a big animal, if it's a big kind of pet, or it's something that's really, violent, or say that that is not very friendly, even that kind of pet will soon become your friend, because you have gained its trust. With these three things, that is consistency, predictability, and reliability, with these three things you can gain anyone's trust. And the same thing happens with the child. Of course, the child sees that my care is consistent, it is in a predictable manner, and the person can be relied upon to give me this particular care. So the child will also develop a sense of trust towards that caregiver, that yeah, this person is not hostile towards me, this person is giving me foods, giving me sustainability, giving me something that I really want, and this person can be relied upon to provide this care constantly. Okay, it's not like he'll do this one day, second day, and then he'll forget about it. This person is trustworthy. Like the same thing will happen to any adult, the same thing happens to a child as well. Now this sense of trust will carry with the child throughout his life. So this is the main point, that this trust is not just temporary, like this trust is only for now. This trust will in fact remain with the child throughout his life. Whenever the child sees similar situations, or rather say not even similar situation, the child will kind of get an intuition, a kind of intuitive feeling to trust people, his life, and perceive the world as secure with the child throughout his life. And just need to make a little bit of change here. He, or of course he or she, I mean this one takes out American English, will here, will perceive the world as secure and people as trustworthy. All right. So the thing is that if such a kind of, like, if in this initial stage, if in this starting stage, the child gains trust of his caregiver, then this feeling of trust, I mean not this feeling particularly towards his parents or towards his caregiver, the main thing is the feeling of trust and bonding. This feeling of trust will remain inherent, will become inherent inside the child, kind of like get inside his DNA, and it will remain throughout with him, it will remain with him throughout his life. And he will think of the world as something that, like, the world is a secure place where you can, where there's a kind of security, and you don't need to be constantly worrying about everything, and that people are trustworthy, people are good beings who don't break trust, they are honest people. I mean, nowadays very little people have these kinds of feelings towards others, but still there are some people, of course. And according to Eric Erickson, this depends upon your trust versus mistrust, and you're like, which part did you swing towards, which thing did you gain trust in it, or did you gain mistrust? Now of course, inability of the primary caregiver in providing a secure environment and consistent love will lead to mistrust. So, and I can clearly say that most of the people do not successfully complete this stage. Okay, like they definitely swing towards mistrust. I mean, I actually think that there are kind of three concepts. First is that you either swing, either you apply, like you either you acquire the ability of trust and complete this stage. Second is that you acquire the quality of mistrust but still complete this stage. The third is that you do not acquire any kind of ability and fail this stage. Okay, so I don't know what happens if you fail this stage. I guess that maybe most people or everyone completes this stage successfully, or they are bound to complete. So there are only two scenarios given here. First is if you become trusty, I mean if you acquire the quality of trust, then what happens? If you acquire the quality of mistrust, then what happens? And if you successfully complete this stage, of course you will have another, like, it's like I told you, it's kind of a video game, so you will get another power, which is of hope. Hope here, we were talking about mistrust. So if the care provided by the caregiver is not in a secure environment, like the child is surprised all the time, the child does not see any predictable patterns in his environment, and like there's conditions when there is any war happening in a country, or when the child is living in really poor conditions. So in such cases, mostly there is no secure environment, the patterns are really unpredictable, the child doesn't know. Like whenever you go into a kind of, you see, let's, like if we leave you in a kind of a jungle, okay, like if we leave you in a jungle, your instincts are basically on alert all the time. There is no predictable pattern, you don't know what will happen at any time. Beasts or animals, insects, reptiles, anything can attack you at any time. Okay, you're constantly worried for your life, for your safety. In the same case, when a child comes into a new life, when a child gets a new life, it comes into a new world, in new environment. Of course, the brain is active at that time, right? So the brain is constantly in a in a state of tension, in a state of worry. The brain can't detect any predictable patterns, any predictable behavior, any kind of behavior that he could match up with, because he had never seen such kind of behavior. So the brain is always, in a kind of situation of in a very tense situation. And that is why these things are very important during this time. But if there are poor conditions, if the environment is not secure and there are unpredictable patterns, then the brain will become more and more untrustworthy. Brain will become more and more alert over time. It will start thinking that no, anything can happen, I need to stay alert, I need to I can't trust anyone here, because anything can happen at any time. So obviously mistrust will develop. And if there is no consistent love as well, now consistent love is definitely very important. I mean, you obviously trust the person who you love, but if there is no consistent love, then there will be no consistent trust as well, which will obviously lead to mistrust. So the brain will generally, and once this, it's like a kind of, initial stage. Like during this stage, you you take, let's say you take liquid cement, okay, and you put it somewhere, and once this stage is passed, that cement will solidify. So in this case, if you take this liquid cement of these things, a liquid cement of consistent predictability and reliability, and it will solidify and turn into trust. You take a liquid cement of insecure environment, or inconsistent love, then it will solidify and turn into mistrust. And once it's done, there's no going back. All right, so this will stay with him throughout his life. So once this stage has passed, and the child has gained or acquired the ability of either trust or either mistrust, it will stay with him throughout his life. Now the successful completion of this stage will lead to developing the virtue of hope. Now this is a really important question, I think we should check it out. Therefore, okay, so yeah, I was, so where were we? Yeah, we were talking about what is considered a successful completion of stage in Erickson's stages of development. Ego integrity is the eighth and final stage of Erickson of psychosocial development. It begins in this time to complete our student can develop. Okay, so they haven't given it here. Anxious and insecure. Yeah, it's just like what I was thinking. They haven't clearly explained anywhere what will mean the successful completion of a stage. Just a minute, I need to pause it for a second. So, alright, folks, I just checked it out, and this is just like what I was thinking. So, in this first stage, you can develop either of the things, of course. You can either develop trust or you can develop mistrust. But the goal or the stage is considered successful only when you have acquired the ability of, you have gained this quality of trust, and not in the case where you have gained the quality of mistrust. Alright. So, obviously, you are free to choose any of these abilities, but only one of them will be considered as successful completion. And by it, I mean, of course, you're not free to choose, like, I mean, it's not your choice which one you want to choose. What I'm trying to say here is that only one of these, in only one of the situations, the stage will be considered a success, that is when you have acquired the ability of trust. And this will further, lead to developing the virtue of hope. So this will give you a new concept, a concept of hope inside your brain. So once you start trusting people, you gain hope. Second stage, autonomy versus shame and doubt. So this age range for this period is from 2 to 3 years. The previous one was from 0 to 1 year, and this is from 2 to 3 year. I don't know what happens between 2 to 3. Sorry, one between 1 to 2 years. Why they skipped it? So no idea. Alright, so this is an important period of hold and let go, and I hope you, or I'm assuming that some of you already know what I mean by hold and let go. Of course, holding and letting go your feces or your poo more specifically, but it's related to other things as well. In this stage, children begin to explore their surroundings. Okay, in this stage you start to look around yourself, you start touching things, you start feeling the texture of things, or the color, you start observing the color of the things like that. Like whenever you come into kind of strange environment, at first you are very alert, you are very timid, you are just concerned about your safety. But once you feel that the environment is secure, that the environment is okay, the environment is good and it's healthy, then you start looking around things. Okay, then you start going out for expeditions or observing things. The same happens with the child. The child starts exploring his surroundings, feeling them, knowing about them, observing them. If caregivers encourage self-sufficient behavior, children develop. So by self-sufficient behavior here means that if the caregivers do not stop the child or prohibit the child too much, like whenever the child attempts to do anything, whenever the child tries to sit, the caregiver forcibly, like whenever the child tries to stand or tries to move around, the caregiver constantly denies the approaches of the child, constantly discourages this kind of behavior, the behavior that is initiated by the child itself. So if caregivers support this kind of behavior, then the child will develop a sense of autonomy. That is, autonomy is a kind of a sense of being able to handle many problems on their own. Like they are kind of independency. It's related to independence, not exactly like that. Like when grown people say that I want to become independent, it's similar to that. So the child believes that it is able to do things on his own. So the child kind of gains this kind of feeling that I can do some things on my own as well. Okay, or that I can do things myself too, right? So a child gains this kind of things, because if this wasn't done, I mean, if the child never gained this sense, then you will never do anything your entire life. Like you wouldn't get up by yourself, you wouldn't try and walk by yourself, you would never try and talk by yourself, you will never make any food for yourself or make your bed or wear slippers by yourself. But we do all these kind of things after a certain age, right? Because we all acquire this ability of what, of autonomy, that we can do things on our own. And there's levels, of course. I mean, some people acquire a really strong ability of autonomy, some people acquire a weak ability of autonomy. So it obviously depends on the level of autonomy you've acquired, and this is the reason why we're able to do anything at all. If caregivers demand too much too early, refuse to let children perform tasks which they are capable of. Okay, so either the caregivers demand too much, that you start trying to walk right now, or don't eat that, don't do that, don't touch that, or come here, say these words, try speaking, like demanding too much, putting too much pressure at such an early age, which obviously most parents do, from experience I can say. Anyways, refusing to let children perform tasks which are capable of, which my dad exactly does, then they will develop shame and doubt about their ability to handle problems, which I of course have. And this can happen at a later stage as well. I mean, Erickson has shown it that this happens at from the age range of 2 to 3 years, but I assure you that it can happen at any age. I mean, like like iron can only be melted at the initial stages. Sorry, the shape of iron can be changed at only the initial stages where it has melted down, but after it has cooled to considerable level, still it can be the shape of it. Its shape can be changed if you hit really hard and constantly. Okay, so of course, I mean, but the the starting phase, or the a really, I mean, really important phase where you can put these qualities into the child, or you can just take these, you can stop the child from acquiring these abilities. The raw stage, you can say, is during this time from the age 2 to 3 years. And you can give the child either of the abilities. Either you can have the child acquire the ability of autonomy, that is having a sense of able to handle things on his own, or you can have them leave them with shame, feeling shameful and having doubts about their own abilities. Like people are constantly depressed, they're constantly thinking that, man, I can't do this, I don't think I'll be able to do that, I don't think I can lift this much, I don't think I can go to the gym, I don't think I can exercise, I don't think I can pass this class, or like work in a job there, okay, sorry, have a job in that country, move there, make her my girlfriend, live with that person, have this or that as my partner. So many things that we are always doubtful about, always critically doubtful about, always feeling shameful of our own abilities, that, man, I'm really the worst person that has ever fall on this earth, or I really can't do anything, I really can't do that, I really can't do this. You're always doubtful, and most often than not, you're shameful about your abilities as well. So this happens because you have acquired this ability of shame and doubt during your autonomy versus shame and doubt stage. I wish they had given it some better name. So if caregivers, yeah, so these are the things. Proper care to the child during this stage will develop the virtue of willpower. So besides autonomy, another superpower that will gain after successfully completing this stage will be willpower. It means that if you're not able to complete a stage later on, like if you're not able to do a particular task, you won't leave it. You will have willpower that, no, 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 I will do this, because you have acquired the ability of autonomy. Okay, autonomy basically means confidence about your abilities, confidence that you can do this. So as long as you have confidence, you will definitely have willpower. Willpower and confidence go hand in hand. If you have confidence, you can do this thing, but still you are not able to do it, so what will happen? Either the confidence will go that, no, man, I really can't do it, or if the confidence is still there, then you will try again and again and again, and trying again and again is exactly what willpower is. However, if proper care is not given, the maladaptive tendency of impulsivity, that is impulsiveness that arises from being too much on the positive sector. So now this is the place where maladaptive tendencies and malignant tendencies take place. So this if proper care is not given, you will develop either impulsiveness or compulsion. Okay, or compulsiveness, you can just say. So what does this exactly mean? This means that you'll either be obviously too positive about this or too negative about this, and from either of these things will erupt these kind of conflicts. This conflict of impulsivity, that I'm what it means is that if you're not successfully able to complete this stage, okay, if you don't acquire the ability of autonomy and you acquire the ability of shame and doubt, then either you'll be too positive about it, like if you still have shame and doubt inside you, but you're still like, no, man, everything is positive, things are good, or you're a good person yourself, so you will develop impulsiveness. Impulsiveness means like you will do things on an impulse, on a quick urge. You won't give it a lot of thought, you won't think too much about it. And why would this happen? Because you have somewhere inside yourself this sense of shame and doubt. So when you have shame, like when you have doubt about things and you think that you can't do this, you'll just give it a, like let's say that you apply for somewhere, okay, and you think that I really can't do this, I don't think I'll be able to do it. So on an urge, you'll just go there and give the exam and do all the formalities on an urge. You won't give it any thought, you won't give it any planning, you won't think that I should just prepare at home, I should just do this. You'll just get up on the day whenever the interview or the time comes, and you'll just go straight for the test. So this is kind of what impulsivity is about. Okay, like you won't make a proper plan, you'll just do it on an urge. Okay, man, I already know I can't do it, so just let's get it done with. So this is why what happens. This is on the positive side, in fact. Now what happens on the negative side? On the negative side, you gain the malignant tendency of compulsion. Malignant tendency of compulsion means the disease or the disability or the obstruction of compulsion that arises from being too negative. Now, compulsiveness arising from having too much of the negative aspect. This is what compulsion. Compulsiveness is having an irresistible urge, something that is almost impossible to overcome, to behave in a particular way. So when you're constantly shameful and doubtful about your abilities, you might start criticizing others. Okay, if you turn over to the negative side, if your emotions become too negative side, and you had acquired, just a minute, someone is now, we were talking about that if you had acquired too many negative abilities during the, not abilities, sorry, qualities during this time, if you had acquired too many negative thoughts, too many negative feelings, that then you will swing towards you are more likely to have malignancy rather than maladaptiveness. And if you have through malignant tendency, you will acquire the distraction. You say, just let's take it as a disease. Okay, you will acquire this disease of compulsion, or you will acquire this psychological illness of compulsion. And compulsion means having an irresistible urge, something that is almost impossible to overcome, to behave in a particular way. For example, you might start criticizing others. So if you have had shame and doubt about your own abilities, and you have taken over to the negative side, then you will start criticizing others who are successful, or others who have successfully completed their stages. You will start having negative or inferior feelings towards them. You will start saying, this guy is like this guy is like that, this guy does this things behind his colleagues, or this guy says these kind of things and actually does this, or he's not good at this and he's not good at that. Okay, so this is like, and the even if you know that what you're doing is not good, it's not good morally, it's not good socially, and it's not good for your job or your like social life as well, even then you won't be able to stop yourself from criticizing others, or criticizing other people whom you feel inferior towards. Another thing that you might develop during this stage is like, like someone is kind of, let's say that someone is scolding you for something. Your boss is, let's say, scolding you for not doing some particular thing. Then you might start counting the number of words the boss speaks, or just some random ticks of the clock. Like you might be hearing ticking sound of the clock, like tuck tuck tuck, the clock is swinging like that, and you will unconsciously or consciously start counting that. And even if you know that you should listen to your boss, so that you know what's wrong with it, and not really count the tickings of the clock, you won't be able to stop yourself. It will become a kind of irresistible urge. These kind of things can happen in normal real life also. Like I've given an example. To not be able to resist the urge of counting the number of differently colored blocks at the side of the road, or not being able to resist the urge of playfully slapping people around. Like you've seen that sometimes you're walking on a road, and on the side there are blocks, right? There are stone blocks laid like sideways to the block, like there are multiple color, or they are colored blocks, like white black, like this, right? So consciously or unconsciously, it can happen both ways. You will start counting the number of blocks. Like while you're just walking on the road, you might start counting the number of the blocks at 1 2, or you might randomly start counting the number of the white blocks only, or black blocks only. And even when you know that what kind of thing am I doing, gosh, this is stupid, you might not be able to stop yourself. And why is that? Because you have already acquired the malignant tendency of compulsion. And I mean this, like, let me give you a proper example. Like, let me explain it to you properly. So this is how we'll see. So what happens is that you first there is this stage. Okay, there is this stage, and then within this stage there are two sections. This is the first section. First section is of gosh, we need to really how to change its size, man. Yeah, here it is, size. I think it is the size. Okay, so within this there is this section, there is this section. This section is about autonomy. This section is autonomy, and this section is shame and doubt. I made it a P instead of D. D for Dholapur. Okay, so this is D, right? So you will enter either of the one space. You will acquire either of the one ability. So let's say you acquire this ability of autonomy, then everything is good, everything is fine. But let's say that you acquire this ability of shame and doubt. This is not actually an ability. You can say like this kind of disability. So you acquire this disability of shame and doubt. In this case, what will happen? Then there are again two divisions. In this section, there are again two divisions, and you will acquire like like in this shame and doubt. Shame and doubt is a kind of like inherent ability, inherent quality. Qualities of course can be negative and bad as well. So when I use the word quality, don't think that qualities are only good, there are bad qualities as well. So you acquire this quality of shame and doubt, or you acquire this feeling. This is more like a feeling, not exactly a quality or ability. It's not physical, it's more like just a feeling. So you acquire this physical of shame and doubt. So when you acquire some particular feeling, you behave in some particular ways. Okay, so if your process, or if your thoughts have been overtly positive, like if there's a disbalance in your thoughts, in your ways of thinking, and if they are too positive, then you will gain a disease from the malignant one, maladaptiveness. And if your thoughts during this stage are too much negative, or too much towards the negative side, all right, then you will gain a what? Then you'll gain a malignancy, you'll gain a disease from malignancy. Okay, so at this stage your other feelings also affect the kind of disease that you'll gain. I mean, I'm using the word disease because I really don't know what else to say to it. I don't know the right word for it. That is why I'm using the word disease, though it's not the appropriate word for it. But still, that's what we can go on with as for now, because they haven't actually used the word anywhere throughout the book that I could pick it up from and use it. So you will gain either of the disease if your general feelings, or if your general like innate feelings like that are not related to this subject. Like if your general feelings are too much positive, you have too much positivity inside you, or too much positive thoughts, like more than are necessary, then you will gain this maladaptiveness. And if your thoughts are more negative, too much negative, then you'll gain a malignant, and then you'll give malignancy. And from maladaptiveness, you will gain the disease of what was it? Impulsiveness. And from too much negativity, you will gain the disease of what? Compulsiveness. Okay, so this is how it is like. So this is one whole thing, one whole stage. Within it there are two different sections. You can go either autonomy, or you can go towards, like you can either go towards autonomy, or you can go towards shame and doubt. And if you get shame and doubt, then you will acquire one of the two diseases, which depends upon your attitude. If your attitude is too much positive, you will acquire the disease that is in the positive section, that is from the positive section. You just think of it as, let's like what, let's magnify this. So positive here is magnified. Let's say that this is positive magnified. It has a lot of diseases, different kinds of diseases. Okay, it has different kinds of obstructions, or just call them whatever you want. And here this is the negative section. Negative section has its own set of obstructions, has its own set of difficulties. But for this stage you will get only one particular type. Okay, so for this like these diseases they are all for different kind of stages. They are all for different stages. And for this stage you have this they have in the negative section, for this stage there is this disease of compulsiveness. So you will gain compulsiveness. And in the positive section, for this stage, like this is the stage that I'm talking about, for this stage. And for this stage in the positive section, the disease is of impulsiveness. So you will only get impulsiveness, no other thing. All right, so this is what I was trying to tell you, and you already know what they means, like what impulsiveness and compulsiveness is. And however, successful completion of this stage will lead to the virtue of will. Okay, like ichha. The will here means ichha, like your own will to do something. Okay, someone who has autonomy, of course, like someone who is confident about his abilities, he will naturally have the desire to do different kind of things, right? So let's say that if you are confident of your abilities, that you can study very well, you can work really hard, then obviously you will have goals by yourself. Like nobody needs to come and tell to you that boy, you should have some kind of will to become successful in life. You will naturally have this will to do different kind of jobs, to have a kind of good job. not even small job. It like if you have, if you have autonomy, if you're confident about your abilities, then it's not like that you will get that you will be thinking about class C or class D job or something that can barely sustain your life. You will naturally be thinking about high end jobs, white collar jobs, or you will naturally be thinking about first class jobs, right? Something, or maybe like something on the adventurous side, of course. Like if you can you might be thinking about following your passion as well. That's a different thing. But naturally someone who has autonomy will definitely think about high end jobs rather than small end jobs, right? And that will be of his own will. Like nobody would be forcing him that, boy, you should think of doing something in life. He would naturally want to do something in his life, something good in his life by himself. Nobody needs to come to him and constantly tell him that you need to do it or you should do it. This will happen automatically, or he would have it inside his mind, like by himself. Nobody needs to come and tell him to do things. He will have his own will of doing things. That is what successful completion of this stage means. Third is the initiative versus guilt stage, which ranges from 4 to 6 years. So the child starts exerting his assertive abilities and starts taking initiatives. Okay, so during this stage, the child may start exerting his assertive abilities, like ordering people around, or forcing them a bit to listen to him, or to fulfill his wishes. Okay, like to his parents or grandparents, the child may start forcibly asking for things, like asking them again and again, or asserting on them some kind of influence that, no, I really want this, I want this, like these kind of things. Okay, like I want that toy, I want that toy. And starts taking initiatives. This child might also start taking initiative as well, like the initiative to go somewhere, or the initiative to make new friends, because this is the age when we make the most new friends. Okay, this is that age. And why does this happen? Because this is during this stage, all the children are in their initiative stage, like the stage of initiation, or you can say. So everybody wants to take the initiative of making friends. So when the other party is doing the same thing and you are doing the same thing, naturally you will become friends, or you will reach the same result. And that is why, this is also the reason why play is central to this stage, because play is the method through which children can make friends, or children can do work, children can do some kind of task. And of course, task clearly shows assertive abilities. It gives the child opportunities to take initiatives and assert control over his or her surroundings. Like the every child will try to become the leader of that group. Like let's say that they are playing a game and they have created teams. Okay, two separate teams. So during this stage, every child will want to become the captain and order other people around it. You do this, you do that, and I will do that. Every child will want to do this thing. And this is the result of initiation, that everybody wants to take initiative, that I'll start this, and everybody wants to assert control. So control, assertion, and initiatives are the two main components of this stage. If parents encourage or support the child and his activities, so let's say that the child wants to draw something. Let's say that the child wants pencil or paper or some kind of colors or some kind of toys, and he wants to build some things like from Lego toys, or he wants to like write something, or just scribble things on a pen and paper, and the parents support him, the parents encourage him that, yeah son, you're doing really good, yes, this is very good. Then it will make the child confident of his abilities. The child will become more confident, yeah, that yes, the things that I do are appreciated by people. Okay, even if the child is doing a completely useless thing, but still you encourage him that, yeah child, you're doing good, that this is very good, keep on doing this, keep on working upon it. Then the child will feel confident of his abilities, that yeah man, the things that I do, people really like it. I mean, I'm not just some kind of loser, I'm not some kind of person who don't know anything, who don't know how to do anything. So now the real point about why we're reading this psychology, why this is so important, why I'm explaining to you all this in detail, and why I take about a week, about a month to prepare for lectures, is not just about the subscribers. It's not just about the money that will come from this channel, even though I almost think that no money will come from it, of course. The thing is about how it will change your life, and of course how it will change my life. How when you will grow up, how when you will have children, you're going to treat them, and you're going to separate them out from the rest of this world, when everyone has been doing everything wrong for generations and generations. Okay, how the things that you have suffered up until now how the kind of shame and doubt that you have had about your abilities, the kind of insecurities that you have felt throughout your life, how you're going to not let them come to your children. Okay, how you're going to separate all these bad qualities, all these bad things out of your children, and how you're going to give them a more satisfactory, a more blooming life than you ever lived. Now this is where psychology is important. Okay, without psychology you can try your best, you can do your best that I'll give my child this kind of life, I'll give him these kind of things, these kind of resources, but none of them will work unless you understand the psychology behind it. Because no matter what kind of things you give the child, you cannot actually change their feelings if you don't know their feelings. I mean, let's say that you're giving the child all kind of things, but you're forcing the child to do something as well, or that you're really rude towards the child, or you're really angry at the child all the time, then no matter what kind of things you give or what kind of food you give it to the child will still develop so many inferior feelings, so many feelings of shame and doubt and guilt. And this is why understanding this psychology is so important, so that you change your way of treating of fostering a child, and your child comes out to be different. And when everyone's children start coming out differently, then the world will change. So this will have the child lead others in future. Okay, so this will inculcate into the child leadership qualities, that is essentially important. I mean, I've tried to apply for so many universities, and the first thing they ask for, we need leadership qualities, and nobody has leadership qualities. So I mean, of course I do have leadership qualities, even though my dad, I don't remember, and I don't think he supported it. But of course I know so many of my neighbors, so many of my relatives who supported my abilities, who supported my activities when I was a child. And that is why I believe that I have acquired the ability of leadership. That is the only reason behind it. Because of course during this stage my father was somewhere else. He was like he was training or he was in the training period of his job, you can say. And that is why he was not there with me during this stage. And so but still I was like loved by all of my neighbors and all my relatives, so they always supported, they always encouraged my abilities, or in most cases. And that is why I was thankfully able to come out of this stage and acquire this leadership ability. So this can happen for anyone else too. I mean, I know so many people who are afraid to take, I mean, I'm still afraid. Like, it's not, you can't say it's completely a success, but still I have to some extent developed this ability. And this can happen for anyone else. And this, I mean, this basically means that what Erickson states about these stages of development is actually true, because I have experienced one of them and I can tell you the results from my own experience. Okay, so it's not like just a simple theory which has like no reality check. So I have already experienced one of them, and from that from my experience I can tell you, I can explain it to you how, if it works or it doesn't. So it's not like we're just reading it and we don't really know what the result will be. There is some certainty that the result will be true as stated in his theories. Criticizing and controlling the child's behavior will develop a sense of guilt. Now, this is what I've been going through for the past, I don't know, maybe 13 or 14 years. This constant criticism for the past, let's say 10 years at least. I have been going through super extreme form of constant criticism and controlling my behavior, of course. And this is why I don't know, maybe, but I feel that I have a deep sense of guilt, a really deep and hidden sense of guilt. And yeah, of course, and these are the things like guilt, shame, doubt. These are the kind of things that make you feel inferior later on in life, that makes your life meaningless. That, like, when you reach the initial stage, last stage, when we reach the last stage about thinking back on your life, and you'll think that my life was full of insecurities, complexities, my life was full of so many things that I did not want. And then your whole life becomes meaningless. Okay, so when up until the last stage, when you are not able to resolve any of the stages, when the starting stages are wrong, then all of the stages will go wrong one by one. It's like a kind of domino effect. If the first few stages are wrong, then the other stages will most likely go wrong as well, unless there is some huge change in your life. And this is why it's so important, so that we come out. This is the matrix. In fact, this is the matrix, and there's a clear cut way of getting out of this matrix as well. The thing is that we never follow it, we are never going to follow it, and that is why very few people come out of the matrix actually. So this is the matrix, that we keep on doing these things, and then when we grow up we have so many insecurities, we have so many complexities around ourselves, and we are not able to live a fulfilling and enriching life. And then in the end we still live a life, we sometimes have our own happy moments, we have our sad moments, but in the end when we look back upon our lives, none of us are satisfied with it. Okay, none of us are like, oh man, I lived a really good life, I'm satisfied with my life and now I can peacefully die. Everybody has some kind of rest over thoughts that I wish I could have done this, I wish I could have done that, I wish I could have been there, I wish I could have been with him or with her. And this all starts from the moment you are born. This is like a kind of domino effect. When the first stage goes wrong, the second stage is more likely to go wrong. This third stage is even more likely to go wrong, and the fourth stage more and more and more until you die. So obviously you can't change it for yourself, but you can change it for children, right? You can change it for the next generations. Success in this stage will lead to the virtue of purpose. So after you have successfully completed this stage and you have acquired the ability of what? The ability of leadership and confidence, then you will have a purpose in your life. You will realize what your purpose in life is, what you want to become. So when you start asserting your control, your authority over other people, and you start getting responses back in return, then you will realize that what your purpose in life actually is. I mean, do you really want to assert control over these people, or do you want to help these people, or do you want to work with these people, or do you want to work under these people, or above these people? So this will eventually lead to your purpose in life, that what kind of a job you want, what kind of a life you want. This will set your purpose. Fourth is your industry versus inferiority. This age range is from 7 to 12 years. Child learns to develop various skills like reading, writing, and doing math. Okay, so in this stage you start developing, analytical or educational skills. If a child's initiative is accepted and encouraged, then it leads to him feeling competent and confident. That is industrious. Okay, so if the child's initiatives in studies in education are, yeah, and I think most of us are, industrious actually means the diligent and hard working. Okay, or competent, you can say competent as well. So during this time most of the children are in their school. So if you are in a good school and the teacher encourages your work, like even if you have done a bad work, let's say that you did homework really bad, or you perform very poorly in class, but the teacher is still encouraging you, the teacher is accepting whatever homework you're given, making small kind of suggestions here and there is okay, but mostly she's encouraging you that you have done a good work. Yeah, you can she can obviously add one line that you can do harder, I'm sure you can do better, but all the while the general feeling is that she's encouraging you and she is accepting your initiative, your your response. Then you will feel, then you will feel more competent, that you are equal to other children's. Whereas most teachers, I have felt, I've gone through this myself and remember it so clearly. Most teachers are like this: when you don't do homework, why didn't you do this, why didn't you do that? They will, most likely, like obviously in my time when I was in, where I was such age, teachers would just slap the child. They will just scold the child, slap the child, and in a class in front of everyone else. I mean, this is definitely a reality check, but this reality check is not going to help him later on in life. All right, I mean, the kind of world that we are living in, definitely a reality check this early in your life is good for you. But imagine if everyone around is you in fact a good person, and you're living in a good life, in a good world, in a good environment, then there is no need for reality checks. Reality checks are only important in a bad world. But if everyone went through a good stage and everyone went through good things, good feelings, then the world will eventually become a good place and there will be no need for reality checks. Reality check is to awaken you to the world that you might be good, you might be anything, but the world is a cruel place. This is the reality check. That whatever you're thinking, whatever fancies you have, just leave them. The world is a cruel place. The world is a cruel place. But imagine if the world is a good place, the world is a nice place, is a happy place, then nobody will say that you might have positive or good thoughts about your life. You might be thinking that I'll do this, I'll that, but the world is not a good place. Then they will say, yes, child, the world is a good place. You don't need to worry about anything. You just go out into the world and the people will handle it themselves. The people will take care of you themselves. But in here you need to yeah, like the teacher will slap you, the teacher will tell you that you didn't do this, you didn't do that, look at his homework, how good he has done. The teacher will tell you that he will become a good officer, will come first in the class, he will do this, he will do that, he will become successful in life, and you will stay here. So this slap is actually reality check to you, that if you don't study hard, if you don't work hard, if your grades are not as good as him or her, then you will fail in life. And what will happen? Will your grades improve? No, your grades won't improve. Your grades will still be the same. But you will develop this feeling of guilt and shame. You will develop this feeling that, man, I'm really not, I really can't do this, and I'm really not comparable. This will create a sense of inequality among the classroom. The first comer will obviously assert his strength, assert his control over other children. He will try to show off. The other children feel even more guilty and possibly have kind of jealous and hatred feeling towards the first comer. Whereas the thing could be that the teacher encourages everyone, even wrongdoers, even people who have done really miserable in their homework, but gives them suggestion, gives them like corrects them at the spot, gives them extra help than other children, and encourages them to come level up to the first comer or to the topper of the class. In this case, a kind of equality will develop among the class. The whole class will have a kind of mutual friendship and friendly feelings towards each other. They will want to cooperate with each other, help each other grow up in a group wise manner. It's not like when you go to class, it's like a kind of rat race. The rat race starts the moment you enter class. It's like everybody wants to be the best, everybody wants to be better than the other person. Why? Because the better person gets encouragement and the worst one gets scoldings, beatings, and all kinds of discouragements. Whereas in a place where even the topper gets the same encouragement and the bottom comer gets the same encouragement, all right, in this kind of case, it's not like that he will not work hard, because as a child, the child will try to work hard definitely. If you add, like, it's like a kind of psychological effect. If you add a few points that child, you should do even better, see how he has done and you need to do better than him, then the child will develop competitive feelings. In fact, instead of, if you start asserting these feelings of competitiveness inside him, instead of naturally igniting them up. So one thing to say is that, look how he has done. Like, you slap the child and you say, look how beautifully he has done, how you have done, he will do this, he will do that, and what are you? You will not do anything in life, you need to study hard. Okay, so this will develop inferior and bad feelings inside the child. These are developing negative feelings inside the child. The second case could be that, child, you have done really good. Stop comparing him with others. Just show him his mistakes. Tell him that next time you should try making this right as well. Okay, this will be really good. You will improve even further. You will go even you will become even better, and you will achieve success more easily in life. Your parents will be happy, that person will be happy, he or she will be happy, your classmates will be more happy if you do if you put in this little bit of extra work, and make this thing right next time as well. Make this thing right as well next time. Then the child will most likely try to work upon your words. Okay, the child will take you seriously. The child will genuinely want to improve. Otherwise, the child will he wouldn't care. He will just be afraid of you. He will just be scared of you. He will want to improve because he's afraid, because he's scared of not improving. So when there comes a time that there is no one to scare him, there is nothing he should be afraid of, he will lose his motive. He will lose his fire. And this is what we have been doing wrong all this time. We're constantly criticizing, we're ridiculing, and we're not encouraging, because we feel like there's this concept as well, that boys needs to be hard, boys needs to be criticized, and they need to be ridiculed because they need to be strong. What if they don't need to be strong, man? What if everyone is equally strong? I mean, they don't need to do something extra, something out of this world to be strong. They can become naturally strong. Why not do such kind of a thing? I mean, we ridicule them, we criticize them, because we know that when they grow up, people around them will criticize them, people around them will ridicule them, and need to be strong enough to handle that. But what if nobody criticizes them even after they grow up? What if we are living in such a world, such a beautiful world, where nobody criticizes anyone, where nobody ridicules anyone? Will there be any need to train them, to condition them to ridicule and criticism? No, of course, right? So we deliberately create such people who will ridicule, who will criticize other people when they meet them, or when they do some mistakes. And then we say that you need to be prepared for this. Why? Because we have ourselves created such people. Like, we create machines, and then we give them bulletproof vests, we give them really hard training. Why? Because you need to be trained, you need to be, like, you need to be trained to face the bullets. So why not stop creating the bullets in the first place? Why not, why create guns, why create bullets in the first place? I'm not exactly talking about bullets and guns here. I mean, they have they are separately distinguished from this. They have their own importance, but I'm just trying to, connect these two things. Like, I'm kind of like metaphorically talking about bullets and guns. So you create something harmful first. Okay, first you create some kind of virus, some kind of disease, and then you say that you need to do this, you need to do that, in order to become strong and face the disease. What if there was no disease in the first place? Right? Then you don't need to be strong, you are already strong. Being strong is always a comparison. I mean, if you get sick easily, if you get cold, then it means you're not strong. If the other person does not get sick, does not get cold, that means the person is strong. Right? Let's say that the time period for a certain virus is 10 days, and within 10 days weak people will get cold, weak people will start suffering from the disease. After 15 days, strong people will start suffering from the disease. After 20 days, really strong people will start suffering disease. So this is how we categorize people, that if you start suffering from the disease during the first 10 stages, it means you're weak. If you do it after 15 within 10 to 15 days, that means you're strong. If you do it after 15 days, that means you're super strong, right? So being strong is not a quality, being strong is a comparative quality. So you're always comparing people with others and then judging whether the person is strong or not. But what if everyone is almost of equal pedestal? And by equal pedestal, I don't mean that everyone is a beggar. Let's say everyone is a great intellectual mind. Okay, to be equal, we don't need to be equal at the lower sports, at the lowest rungs. We can be equal at the higher rungs as well. We can be equal at high stages as well. I'm talking about a place where everyone is intellectually equal and not intellectually inferior. So this stage, now this is why this stage is so important. And if the child is continuously criticized and ridiculed for his initiatives, he will feel inferior to his abilities, like I told you. I think it will be off here, inferior of his abilities. So the child will always feel that maybe I'm not good enough, maybe I really can't do, like I feel all the time, of course. You feel that you want to, like, I mean, everyone, of course, everyone has, everyone has high hopes and high aspirations, high dreams for himself, but they never reach that part. Okay, most of them really don't even work about it, work hard for their dream jobs or their dream life. Why? Because they know they can't do it. And why is that? Because they feel inferior of their abilities. Everyone has the ability to achieve something great, but most of the time they never really try. Why? Because they're already feeling inferior, that I don't have that kind of quality, I don't have that kind of ability, I don't think I'll be able to do it. And this happens because their fourth stage didn't go well. If the child experiences failure in this stage, now again he will develop either two things: either maladaptiveness, if his feelings up until now had been too positive, if he had acquired too many positive qualities, then he will or if he has acquired too many negative qualities, then he will have a malignant tendency. In case he receives a disease from maladaptive tendency, it will be of narrow virtuosity. It means a maladaptation, that is a disease or conflict formed through going too much into the positive side, that makes the person to be too good in one particular field or area and neglecting other fields or areas. So narrow virtuosity means being too good in one field and being too bad or too poor in other fields. Let's say that you are really good at maths, but you are really weak in English, in science, and all other things. Okay, let's say that you are really good at jumping, but you are really bad at running or walking or anything else. Or you can say that you're really good at, your aim is really good, but all other things are really bad. Your Or one other thing could be that your stamina is really good, but you're very poor in strength, you're very poor in, agility, speed. Okay, you're really poor in flexibility, these kind of things. So this is narrow virtuosity, being too good in one particular field but equally bad in other fields. So we need to have a balance, right? We need to have a kind of balance. So if you're really, you have very very good stamina but you're very less flexible, then you won't be able to use that stamina to its full potential, right? Let's say that you need stamina in long running, but after some like after running for a long period of time, you're still not out of stamina, but your joints will start stiffening up because they're not so flexible. They can't constantly flex and move and flex and move, so your joints will start hurting. So you need to have a kind of balance between all the things. Now, if you acquire a malignant tendency, that is a disease from being overtly negative, like your feelings have been during this stage or up to this stage, you had acquired too many negative feelings, then you are most likely to get a malignant tendency, and which will be of what? Inertia. Inertia here means opposing change to a very great extent, like opposing change to a very very huge extent. Opposing change is normal and healthy, but in this case, it takes such an extreme form that it becomes harmful. The child not only opposes unhealthy change, but healthy and beneficial change as well. So let's say that there's a first timer, there's a first time smoker. So, or let's say there's a child and his friends are all smokers, and they offer him a cigarette. So the first, if the child is good, or like let's take just a normal child, the first response might be that the child will simply decline the offer. He or she will decline the cigarette, right? So this is a good thing, this is a good inertia, right? This is good healthy inertia. But let's say it takes such an extreme form that the child even starts declining good things as well, that they are offering him, like they are offering him good things as well. That like I know some of my friends and I keep offering them advice, like I mean their future looks so insecure, so insecure, so I keep offering them advice that you do this brother, you do that, your future will become more secure, you'll be able to get a good job, you'll be able to have a good life. But they just ignore it, like, oh yeah, we'll look about it, we'll see about it, oh you just leave that, man, let's not talk about that. So this is inertia, this is opposed to change. They don't want to change their life, they're just happy with however their life is, how they're living off their parents, and how they don't have any worry in this world. So this is bad change, this is bad opposition to change. Opposing change is normal and healthy, but in this case, it takes such an extreme form that it becomes harmful. The child not only opposes unhealthy change, but healthy and beneficial change as well. Successful completion of this stage through the right balance of industry and inferiority. Now, here we need both the things, not just industry, but inferiority as well. Not too much inferiority, just the right balance, like I told. They will develop the virtue called competency. Just Okay, so why competency? Because the world is a competition. There is competition everywhere around you. Now you must be wondering this. Just now I said that why give him a reality check? I mean, if we give him a reality check, won't he also get a reality check of that the world is always competitive and you need to be the best? I mean, that is one separate thing. There is competition in the world, and you can give him a reality check or her a reality check about the competition. But the competition can be a good competition as well. It doesn't need to be necessarily a bad competition, a kind of like mad rat race. It could be a healthy form of competition where you where you've even lost, then you realize that yeah, your abilities were a bit inferior, that you lost. It's natural, the other person was better than you. Instead of criticizing everything and everyone around you, criticizing your parents, criticizing your teachers, criticizing your bad luck, instead of that you can just healthily, good, in a good manner, accept your defeat, that yeah, I lost to him, he was better than me. Next time I'm going to rise up even stronger, I'm going to do even better, and I'm going to get this job, or I'm going to get this role. So competition can be healthy competition as well. Okay, and now why will this develop competency? We were talking about this. So when you have what we were talking about, when you are industrious, here they say competent and confident. Okay, like right here they are saying that competent and confident. So when you are competent and confident, then obviously you will start going for competitions, you will become more, I mean they've already like stated in the starting that the person will acquire competensive skills. so we don't need to really say it again in here. It's basically the same thing as a kind of a quality you acquire from the fifth stage, and the virtue acquired, they are almost same. Fifth is identity versus role confusion. The goal of this stage is to develop social identity and occupational identity. So what is your social identity? Like what are your social surroundings? What is your status in your society? And what is your status in your occupation? Like in your job, what is your status? How do people treat you? And it's just not related to the position you're in at the job, but how people take you as that, whether you are a serious person, you're really hard on people person that people talk respectfully towards, or whether you're just some normal passerby that people can take lightly. Okay, so this is what means by identity here. What is your identity? What is your image in people's mind? During this stage, children, now I mean, of course, like they are not children anymore, like more like, or maybe they are children. Children have become more independent and they try to become a part of the society. Now this is normal, right? I mean, they go to school every day. Some children might I mean, some children offer even work at home, like in their own homes. I'm not talking about child labor. I'm talking about like they work in their own homes. They help their parents, so kind of like they become more independent. Now they're no more like dependent on others for everything. They are mostly independent. They can do most of the tasks themselves. Only there are some specific tasks that are out of bounds that they really can't help it with. And they try to become a part of the society as well. Like they try to become blended into the society. They try to form relations. They try to form bonds and relationship with their relatives, with their friends, with their teachers, with their doctors. Okay, so this is how they try to become a part of the society. If society provides clear guidelines and rite of passage, like if the society gives them a clear path, that this is a clear view, that this is how things work, and this is how you can integrate into the society, what kind of rules and regulations you'll have to follow, how you should behave, and then it will help the adolescent to achieve clear role identity. Then it will help that a person to form a clear identity of himself. Okay, a clear role identity here means that it will provide the person with a clear mindset, like with a clear concept of what his role is in the society, or what the role of his identity would be, what kind of role he will be playing in the society. Okay, what kind of a person he will be in the society? Will he be a bad person? Will he be a good person? Will he be a helpful person, an unhelpful person, an honest person, a dishonest person, selfish person, an unselfish person? So these are the kind of things that society will define for him. Failure in this stage, I mean, if society is really confusing, if the person doesn't know where to go, what to do, who to ask, who not to ask, who to be with, who to not with, I mean, if the society is really confusing, if there are no clear guidelines, then it will lead to maladaptive tendency. Now if the, like I said, like we previously discussed so many times, if the person's thoughts had been too much positive side, on the too much positive side, then he will acquire a disease from maladaptive tendency, otherwise from, and if they are too negative, then he will acquire from malignant tendency. So in case his thoughts were too much positive and he acquires a disease from malignant tendency, which one it will be? It will be of repudiation. Maladaptive tendency of wait. So by mistake, I think I just read it wrong, sorry. Maladaptive tendency, he will acquire the maladaptive tendency of fanaticism, not repudiation. He will acquire the maladaptive tendency of this fanaticism. What is fanaticism? It means being filled with great energy and obsession or obsessive concern towards a particular thing or direction. Like a person is obsessive towards one particular thing, like I want to do just this and this. He doesn't care about anything else, he doesn't care about anyone else. He just is just obsessive with one thing. Let's say that he takes fancy to a bike and he's obsessive towards one thing, that I want this bike, no, I want this bike, or I want this car, or I want this kind of home, and he neglects other kind of things. Or I want this job. Like almost everyone during this stage will suffer from the fanaticism of a job, okay, that I want this job, I want this job, I want this job. They'll be obsessive towards achieving it, that no matter what, I want this job. Sometimes later on, if they fail to get the job, they might even resort to bad or illegal means, like they might force or ask their parents, pressurize their parents to pay money for that kind of job, to get them that job, okay, because they become so obsessive towards it, for towards their dream job. They might neglect their health, their social relations, the kind of moral abilities that they must have, just for a job. Okay, I mean, job is not everything, or job, our complete focus should not be just towards developing our intellectual abilities to acquire a certain kind of job. And this is the problem with most of the people. They neglect the analytical abilities, the scientific knowledge. They neglect, if in the case, if it's an art job, they will most probably neglect all other kind of educations. They will neglect the moral knowledge that they should have, the moral information that they should have acquired, or the moral qualities that they should have developed, the kind of feelings or the kind of behavior that they should do towards their parents, towards their society in general, towards their friends, their relatives. They will forget all about all of that, all about developing all those other aspects. They will only focus on one thing: if I'm moving towards getting my dream job, then everything else is perfect. This is but actually a psychological issue. It's a kind of mental issue, and it's not a good thing. Like, if you're so focused towards your goal, it's not a good thing. You don't need to be focused towards your goal, you just need to work towards your goal. Okay, you need to focus on everything else, and you need to take in consideration everything else in a healthy manner, but work towards your goal. Okay, you need to have an eye on your goal, you need to be conscious of your goal, and you need to work more towards that. Okay, that is the thing. Explaining it with an diagram again. So let's say that these are the things. Wait, my god, why does this do it? Let's just count to take a deep breath. Okay, it's already working now, no need to take any deep breaths. Okay, so here were we. Let's say that this is you, and the path, like the abilities, the qualities, they run out in several directions, and you choose one of them. Let's say that you have chosen one path out of them, which is this path. So you need to stretch, you need to work towards this ability the most. Okay, this ability needs to be the longest. But then all the other abilities, like this ability, they also need to be in a healthy proportion. They don't need to be the longest, they don't need to be the best, but they need to be in a good healthy proportion. Okay, like this will be a good and healthy proportion. But in the other case, like, you are working toward this ability, this particular ability, and you leave all this ability to this minimal, to this little extent, and you've stretched out this ability the furthest, and you've successfully managed to achieve your goal as well. Your goal was here, and you've managed to achieve your goal. But all the other aspects, you are too low, you are too weak, you are too bad. Then it will not lead to a fulfilling and enriching life. That is why even most successful people do not live a fulfilling life. Okay, the goal of life is to live a fulfilled life where you don't have any regrets when you die. But even most of the billionaires and millionaires, they don't live a fulfilled life. Why? Because they stretched one particular concept to its fullest. They have achieved great success in life, but they haven't achieved great success in their personal life. Okay, in a business kind of life, or in a economic life, they have achieved great success, huge success, but at their personal stance, at their personal level, they haven't achieved any success. That is why they're still crying about things, they're still sad, they're still depressed. So this is what I'm trying to tell you, that you need to take all the things in a balanced manner. And if you don't take it in a balanced manner, if you be obsessive towards one particular thing, that means that you have fanaticism, and it erupts from this maladaptive tendency. In case you fail the fifth stage, that is of identity versus role confusion, and you are also maladaptive as well, in like failing this stage plus you are maladaptive, then you will surely receive fanaticism. This is a fact. Okay, and what will happen in fanaticism? We know energy and obsessive concerns towards a particular thing. In the case where it is caused by maladaptation, it becomes so obsessive that it becomes harmful, like being obsessive like about getting into a particular university so much that it starts affecting your mental health, making you distance yourself from your parents and family, and if you fail to get into that university, then to incur suicidal thoughts upon yourself. Okay, that like if you fail to achieve your goal, you become so obsessive, you become so directed towards that goal, and then in the end when you fail to achieve it, it's like a huge blow to you. Okay, it's like such a blow to you that, man, I've been doing this, I've been preparing this for my whole life, but now, damn, man, I didn't get it. So what now? Come on, man, my life's only goal was this. Now I haven't achieved this, so time to end the life. So it's not like that. Okay, that's a kind of psychological illness again. But and in case you are malignant, you had malignant thoughts or malignant feelings, then you will receive repudiation, which means an obstruction, conflict, or disease erupting from becoming too negative, and which makes the person refuse to accept or acknowledge. Repudiation basically means to refuse to accept or acknowledge anyone's authority or bond, to refuse to accept the need of society or one's own position in society, like thinking that you don't really need society, you'll do something on your own, you don't need people, you don't know, need your parents, you don't need your friends, you don't need your relatives, you can do something without them as well, life will be better off without them. I think I do have this malignant tendency of repudiation. Like you refuse to accept or acknowledge anyone's authority. My dad definitely has it though. My dad is constantly saying, talking that no one is superior to him, nobody is more intelligent, more knowledgeable to him. Like he might sometimes admit that, yeah, people are more intelligent to me, of course there are more intelligent, more educated people than me, but the way he's always behaving, it shows something completely different. So yeah, people like that who believe that nobody is superior to them, nobody is more intelligent, more knowledgeable than them, they refuse to accept anyone else's authority, that someone else can dictate me or someone else can possibly know better than me. Such people develop this malignant tendency of repudiation. Okay, my mouth has started hurting so bad now. There are only, actually, there are 7 stages of development only. I thought there were 8 stages of development. Let's check again if I missed something. Ego, integrity, and despair. Intimacy and isolation. So 8th stage is intimacy versus isolation. 6 stages is intimacy versus 7 stages generativity versus stagnation. So I actually forgot to write down the 8th stage, that is what? Ego, integrity versus despair. So yeah, of course I'm going to make a third part of it, because it becomes too much to just join another part. Like I can keep this video separate part 2 and just join the last part into the last from where the video ends, but then it will really affect the quality of the video, and it might even increase its size by a lot of amount, because I'm really bad at editing. So I'll just release a third part for the 8th stage. Let's just read this last it's the 6th and 7th stages. So 6th stage is about intimacy versus isolation, whether you need people to be in your life, whether you need some kind of romantic relationships, or you want to stay isolated from them, whether you need some kind of warmth and comfort in your life or you don't. So this ranges from 20 years to 34 years. In this stage, an individual tries to establish stronger friendships and intimate relationships with the other individuals. So this is basically the age where you get married, where you form relationships, where you have sexual intimacies with other people. Why? Because you're seeking friendship, you're seeking warmth, you're seeking love. Failure to develop intimate relationships may lead to, well, of course, it will lead to loneliness, alienation, social withdrawal, etc. Success in this stage will lead to the virtue of love. So if you successfully form a relationship, then obviously it is because you love that person, right? And that person loves you back. So you will acquire the virtue of love. You have love in your life. Congratulations. 7th is generativity versus stagnation, which is from 65 years and onward. So what is in the 8th? Or I can just just read the 8th part right from here and later add it in the notes. So yeah, so generativity versus stagnation is from 35 to 65 years and not from 65 years and onwards. I've written it wrong here. I don't know whether I was drinking while writing this. How could I make such mistakes? So 35 to 65 years. Let's check again if I made this mistake once more. Yeah, 35 to 65 years. Okay, so I didn't, thankfully. Okay, so what happens during this stage? This is a stage of a review. Wait, this isn't a stage of review, right? This stage occurs during that is the healthy is develop. Yeah, so I have actually mistaken the seventh stage as the eighth stage. I need to read the seventh stage right from here. So the healthy aim of this stage is to develop an extension of love and care for future generation. Yeah, definitely I missed this one. So in this stage now you start thinking about your future generation. You start forming relationship of father and son, mother and son, niece or uncle. These kind of relationships with your with your younger generation, with your next generation. You start thinking about their development, about their growth. You extend your love from your partner to your progenies, to your future generations. During this stage, an individual tries to become productive for work and for his or her society by raising family and kids and being sensitive to for their needs and requirements. So during this stage, the person will try to gain more success in life, try to become more and more competitive, so that he can acquire more resources for the child, for the children, for his wife, for his family in general, and after his family for his society as well, that he can do something productive, something really nice for his society, for his family. These standards of generativity are defined and shaped by one's culture, so they definitely depends on one culture. Like in many cases the parents just, okay, the child is living a normal life, if the child is getting this thing, that thing, just give him these things, okay, it's good. In other cases, like in other cultures, the parent might even try to give moral education to the child as well, that child, these kind of things are not good, these kind of things are not these kind of things are bad, these kind of things are good, or you should become a good person, you should become an honest person. Sometimes the parents don't really care. Sometimes the parents might say that no matter what kind of person you become, you just need to be successful in life, and that's all. So it depends on culture wise what kind of education or what kind of generativity you acquire. On the other hand, if an individual is unable to become productive with respect to work and society, it will lead to stagnation and self-indulgence. So if the person is not really able to become more productive, not just productive but more productive in work and society, like he's not able to acquire greater heights or better positions in his company where he does, or in his job, in his work, or in his society, he's not able to acquire more respect, more resources for his family, then it will lead to stagnation, that he has reached a particular point and now he has stopped there, he's not making progress anymore. And it will lead to self-indulgence, that he will self-indulgence means that he will keep to himself, he will stay within himself, he will interact less with other people, he might pick up bad habits like drinking, smoking, he will start spending more time with himself instead of with other people. Like this is the reason why happy families go awfully bad later on in life. Okay, because most parents become stagnant, and then they pick up bad habits, and bad habits go from bad to worse, and families fall apart. Success in this stage will develop the virtue of care. So if this stage becomes a successful, then the person will become more caring, not just towards his own children and family, but towards everyone, towards his colleagues, towards his seniors, towards his neighbors, towards his society in general. So eighth is the ego integrity versus despair. Now the name of this should be ego integrity versus despair. Yeah, see, I've just given it a wrong name. This is a stage of review in which the older adult looks back at one's life and reviews it as a whole. If the adult, this is the last stage, this is the eighth stage. So I can just change it. So this is basically the eighth stage. Ego integrity versus, I hope this was the name. What was it? Or it was a despair. Yeah, ego integrity versus despair, 65 years onward. So after 65 years, definitely depends person to person. You will review your whole life. You will start thinking about your life. You will start to you'll start contemplating about your early childhood experiences, your middle life experiences. You will start looking back on them and reviewing your life as a whole, like if you sum up all of your life, was it worth living? Was it good enough? If the adult perceives that his life consisted of some meaning and happy experiences, that the life was good, yeah, I'm satisfied with my life, and it had some meaning. Definitely, I was born for some reason, and I have fulfilled that reason. Then it will lead to integrity. Integrity means feeling at peace with oneself and the world, like becoming one with the world, and that kind of thing. That you feel at peace. That yeah, I feel at peace. I'm satisfied with my life. I lived a good life. I'm thankful to the world for this. Like like you've reached the end of your journey, and your journey was a good one. Like you successfully completed your journey and not failed. If the adult perceives that his life was full of disappointments, unaccomplished goals, and negative experiences, it will lead to the development of despair, that will in turn lead to depression and helplessness. Okay, so if the person thinks that no man, I had so many things that I wanted to do, but I could never do them. I wish I could have done that. I wish I could have done this. And he thinks that he had too many negative experiences, that my parents were so bad to me all throughout my life. My children never listened to me really. My neighbors never behaved well. My teachers were always so harsh. All these kind of things, that he will fall into despair. He will fall into depression. He will fall into a kind of helplessness situation. Successful completion of this stage. So if you successfully completed this stage, if you were happy with this stage, happy with this life, then you will develop the virtue of wisdom. Congratulations again, you have gained another good point, or another really really powerful virtue, which is of wisdom. You will gain wisdom. I don't really need to explain what wisdom is, right? And even if I try to, I won't be able to. Wisdom is something that you just can't explain. It's like one of the unexplained mysteries of this world. So with this, our chapter ends. I'll just edit the notes, make them right, correct them, and then post them back again. Till then, goodbye, and see you in the next video.